Welcome to the Modern Taoist with Kit Man. Ancient wisdom, modern life, and the way. Visit us online at taoananda.com or find us on all the socials. Now, the Modern Taoist.
Well, hello and welcome to this episode of the Modern Taoist. My name is Kit Man, and I hope you are having a fine morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are and what you may be doing today. And I thank you for joining me on this episode, this journey of the Modern Taoist podcast. Now, I got a little bit of business we got to clean up here. First of all, we have transferred our hosting. You'll still be able to get it wherever you listen, whether it's on Apple or Amazon Music or iHeartRadio or Spotify or wherever. But our podcast is now being hosted on Spotify. So if you are on Spotify, I invite you to leave your comments below, because we can be a little more interactive on Spotify than we can on some of the other platforms, is why we switched. So feel free to leave your comments below. And please follow us here on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts or Amazon Music or wherever you get your podcasts. So I appreciate that. And as a small gesture, we're doing something now that I think is kind of fun. A small gesture of gratitude for everybody that has been listening. We've had some people that have asked in my pictures, what do any of the bracelets that I wear mean anything? And they all mean kind of something to me. But I thought it would be cool to give you guys some bracelets. Like, that would be fun. It's something that I like, and it's something that I have access to. And so every week I'll send out a little wooden yin-yang bracelet. It's one bead is black, the other bead is a light tan, almost a white. And it's just nothing big or flashy, just a reminder of balance that you can carry with you throughout the day. If you just put this on, and you'll see it, and you'll notice what you're doing at that time of the day. And all you have to do to be a part of it is just to send me a question about Taoism or the practice or anything else you might want to say. And every episode, I'll pick out one question at random, and then I'll reach out to you and I will let you know, and I'll get you a bracelet in the mail. It's not about prizes or pressure. It's just a way to for me to give something back to you and keep the conversation flowing. So if there's something you've always wondered, ask away. The best way to do it would be to go to our website, taoananda.org, DAOANANDA.org, and fill out the form there. That way I've already got your email address. Otherwise, I'm going to have to reach out to you on whatever social platform you ask the question, and we'll have to get your email address that way, which is okay. We can do that too. Today, on this episode of The Modern Taoist, it's kind of a timely episode, even though, you can listen to this. All of our episodes, I try to keep them evergreen, meaning that you can listen to them wherever whenever you like. We're trying not to keep things too current events based. But this one, as we're heading into the holidays, as I record this, it is October the 10th, and we are heading into what is the holiday season, which essentially kicks off on Halloween and wraps up after New Year's. And as the leaves turn and the nights grow longer and we start stepping into that season that's packed up with holidays, some people light up at the thought of it, and other people brace themselves for it. And most of us feel a little bit of a mix of both. And there's also a question that we get often: do Taoists celebrate holidays? How does Taoism feel about, Western holidays that we celebrate? For me, Halloween, it's my favorite holiday. It's always stood out kind of, to me, when you think about it, as a strangely Taoist holiday. When you think about it on the surface, it's all about things we're afraid of. Ghosts and skeletons and monsters and vampires and death itself even sometimes. But instead of hiding from those things on Halloween, we play with them. We turn fear into candy and costumes. We walk in the darkness without a care in the world, no dread, but with laughter. And if that isn't the yin transforming into yang, I don't know what is. Taoism at its heart is about noticing how things flip and how light emerges from darkness, and how the very thing we resist or fear can become the very thing that frees us. And Halloween, in an odd way, embodies that. But then, of course, the holiday season doesn't stop there, right? We move on. After the jack-o'-lanterns are gone, we move into Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving brings with it a weight of expectation. Family gatherings can either be joyful or tense. Gratitude can feel genuine or forced. Have you ever been at a Thanksgiving table when you think you're just going to go there and have a nice, lighthearted Thanksgiving meal, enjoy some laughter, watch some football, and then all of a sudden somebody says, now let's go around the table and tell everybody what we're thankful for. Oh, wow, what? Maybe what I'm thankful for is none of your business. And sometimes that can feel so forced. And then when Thanksgiving is done, then comes Christmas. And that is a holiday, again, that mixes joy and generosity and love and family with consumerism and overspending and stress and travel. And then finally New Year's, which promises fresh starts, but often can turn into a self-punishment because of resolutions we're never going to keep. It's a strange stretch of months. On one hand, these holidays bring warmth and community and celebration. On the other hand, they can push us way out of balance. They can drain us emotionally, they can drain us financially, and they can even drain us spiritually. And that is where Taoism has something important to say. Because Taoism doesn't tell us to avoid the holidays or scold ourselves for celebrating. Instead, it invites us to notice the flow underneath. To ask ourselves, how do we move through this season without being swept away by the extreme? So that's the question we're going to sit with in this episode. What does Taoism say about this time of year? How do we approach the holidays not as traps of expectation and stress, but as opportunities to live with more clarity and balance? And maybe even that will bring us more joy than we normally would have. So let's walk through them together. Holidays, at their best, at their top, number one thing they do is bring people together. They can spark joy. They can give us moments of light in the darker months of the year. And then, if we're honest, they can bring stress and conflict and exhaustion. So let me start where I've always loved. My favorite holiday is Halloween. I believe, like I said earlier, it is secretly the most Taoist holiday. Instead of running from things we're scared of, we lean in, we play with them. We dress our kids up as skeletons and witches, and we laugh at haunted houses, and we watch horror movies and giggle. We walk into the night with candy bags. And it truly is yin transforming into yang, as I said earlier. That is Taoism in action. And that's one reason Halloween has always been one of my favorites, because it's playful and it's creative. And it doesn't ask much from you other than a willingness to join in. You can spend a lot of money if you want to on decorations, which I may be guilty of, but it's not a stressful spending. It's not a must do. It's something you do with a sense of joy because it's something you want to do. It's the perfect reminder that transformation is possible. Heaviness can shift and joy can live inside what we usually label as scary. And then there's Christmas, which is a little later, and I love Christmas. Friends have in the past called me Captain Christmas. It's always been kind of a joke. But as you get older, and sometimes not even then, sometimes it's just the weight of expectation, Christmas can get complicated. And we'll talk about materialism and stress a little bit later, but there's still something beautiful about how the lights cut through the dark nights of the year when it's cold and snowing maybe where you are, and that bright light just shines through. And how music that we all know the words to just fills the air. And even if just for a moment, people can soften towards each other. There's a warmth in Christmas that I've never fully let go of, even when the expectations have been incredibly high. Now, Thanksgiving for me, and I don't know how it is for you, and you're going to take this episode as you do, but Thanksgiving for me has always been trickier. Because up until, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 years ago, I loved Thanksgiving. It might have outdone Halloween as my favorite, because it was a day built around food, first of all, which was always great with the pumpkin pie. I'm a big pumpkin pie guy. Pecan pie, oh yeah. But it was built around gratitude and food, and nobody was ever angry. But over time, the weight of family expectations started to pour in. And you might know the feeling. You walk into a room and suddenly, especially nowadays, I don't know when it shifted, but it's not even just about always sharing a meal. Now it's about unspoken comparisons and gossip and the pressure to be grateful on command. Gratitude is supposed to flow naturally like water, not tell me what you're thankful for and do it right now. When it's forced, for me, it dries up. Thanksgiving became less for me about thankfulness and more about performance. And to me, when a holiday becomes about performance for the sake of other people, it loses its heart. And that's what Taoism tries to help us see. Not that these holidays are good or bad, but that each carries two sides. Halloween is light born from darkness. Christmas is warmth mixed with consumer frenzy. Thanksgiving is gratitude wrapped up in expectation. New Year's is fresh beginnings tied to self-criticism. Taoism doesn't say throw all that away, just says notice. Choose how we meet it. So for me, the seasons are a mix, because Halloween is joyful, reminds me to be playful. Christmas still stirs a lot of joy in me, even if I have to keep an eye on the stress. And Thanksgiving, for me anyway, has become a caution sign about expectations. So how do we walk through these months without being swallowed up by the extremes? Well, after the pumpkins and the skeletons are packed away, that's when things for me tend to get heavy. On paper, Thanksgiving is very simple. Gather, eat, give thanks. But that gratitude, as I said earlier, doesn't always feel natural. Family expectations are a poison that, I wish I could pinpoint when that shifted in the world. And a lot of people will point to political reasons, but I think it started way before that. It tends to be a competition where old grudges resurface, and like I said, gratitude becomes something you're supposed to perform, not something that arises on its own. And Taoism reminds us that when it comes to gratitude, gratitude is best when it's unforced, when you don't have to command it into being, when you can sit quietly and be grateful quietly. Gratitude proclamations serve no one. Gratitude has to truly come from the heart in your quiet time. We hear a lot these days about living an attitude of gratitude, and there's all kinds of platitudes of gratitude. And there's all kinds of coffee mugs and T-shirts and how you're supposed to be grateful. But what does that truly mean? It does not mean what happens on Thanksgiving, where we all have to force that gratitude. What it means is, can you sit quietly and see that gratitude flow into you like sunlight slipping through the window? The Taoist way of being grateful is less about reciting a list and more about pausing in quiet to feel what's already present. And then Christmas comes along, and Christmas can be, for a lot of people, very, very complicated. For some people, it's a very religious holiday. For some people, it's a very, very secular holiday. For some people, it's somewhere in the middle. For most people, it's a season of joy, and generosity, and togetherness. But let's face it, for many people, many, many, many people, Christmas is a financial burden. You start thinking about it in October. I've had people say to me in the middle of October, hey, there's only 4 more paydays until Christmas. And you go, oh my God, what? The consumer machine starts up in late September. And this financial burden becomes a stressful to-do list and a competition to create that perfect holiday. The consumer machine, as I called it a second ago, is enormous. So Taoism asks us, what are you actually giving? Because true giving isn't about the size of the receipt or the size of the box under the tree. It's about, did you pick it out in presence, in care, with a thought that says, I see you. Generosity in harmony with the Tao does not drain you. It fills you. Giving fills you up. The trap comes when giving becomes a performance. When we spend money we do not have, chase expectations we could never meet, and confuse material gifts for love itself. And then there's New Year's. This one might sting a little bit because so many of us have lived it. I have many times. The calendar flips and it comes that pressure to reinvent yourself. The resolution list starts piling up. It's a new beginning. Lose weight, save money, quit drinking, quit a bad habit, become a new person by February. You have 30 days to completely transform yourself from the jerk you are now to an absolutely perfect human being in just 30 short days. Yeah, that's not going to happen. It sounds like renewal, but what that's doing is hiding self-punishment. Now, Taoism will tell you life is cyclical. It's not linear. You don't start over on New Year's Day. A new year isn't a finish or a start. It's just another turn in the flow. And Taoism doesn't demand you become a whole new person. It invites you to notice the turning of the seasons, shift gently if you think you should, to grow without tearing yourself apart and tearing yourself down. How many times have you looked in the mirror on the day after New Year's Day, or maybe on New Year's morning, and thought to yourself, this is the year. I'm going to lose 30 pounds. I'm going to look great for the summer. I'm going to stop smoking. I'm going to stop being the absolutely terrible human being that I am today. That's horrible thought. That just drags you down even further. When you cling to that too tightly, to how something should be, you lose sight of how something is. So what Taoism wants to offer you instead is presence. Not presence as in gifts, but presence as in, here I am. At Thanksgiving, that might mean noticing one genuine moment of connection instead of forcing an entire day to feel thankful. At Christmas, it might mean giving one small gift that carries true love and care, rather than overspending on things no one will remember by February. And at New Year's, it might mean choosing one quiet intention that feels natural, instead of writing a list that becomes a burden. Holidays are always going to come with pressure. Families will still gather, stores will still sell, the ball will still drop on Times Square. Taoism doesn't remove any of that, but it helps you step aside and only be available for the things that serve you. And here's the irony: when you stop chasing holiday expectations, you often end up enjoying the holidays even more. Christmas will feel warmer when you're not chasing perfection. New Year's Eve will feel freer when you're not punishing yourself for the way you are. So the Taoist way is not about escaping the holidays, but meeting them without being consumed by them. The hardest part of the holidays, though, sometimes isn't the shopping or the travel. It's the people. It just is. Family, friends, co-workers, everybody getting stirred up. And suddenly you're trying to balance togetherness with sanity. You're trying to fit everything into your schedule. Because here's the truth. Not every holiday interaction is joyful. Sometimes you find yourself across the table from a brother or an uncle that wants to debate politics or talk about some negativity in their life, or a relative who just can't resist reminding you of every life choice you've made that they believe you got wrong. Something less dramatic but just as draining are the backhanded compliments, the gossip, the subtle rivalries that surface for no reason. And in moments like this, you're either going to fight or shut down. Either you get pulled into the argument or you quietly sit there seething, knowing that you shouldn't say anything even though you want to. Unless you're a Taoist, and then in that case you step back without hardening your heart, and that is compassion and distance. And you say, I'm not going to participate in this, but I'm not going to judge those that do. And your family may find that confusing. Why don't you? You don't care? You don't have an opinion? No, I don't. I see this for what it is, and I choose not to get swallowed by it. That takes a lot of strength. But here's the edgy part. Sometimes you have to treat holiday drama like bad karaoke. If you're in a place and they have karaoke and the person is just absolutely terrible, you don't storm up onto the stage and yank the mic away. You don't jeer and angrily clap when it's over. You just smile and you let it play out and you laugh a little bit at the absurdity. That's the distance you have to take sometimes during the holidays. It doesn't mean you've checked out. It just knows you mean that this moment doesn't have anything to do with you and you don't need to own it. It's just bad karaoke. Compassion is what enables you to take that distance and keep it from turning into contempt. Because Taoism isn't about walking around with superiority thinking, look at all these fools arguing about cranberry sauce. Dumb. It says, I know what it feels like to get caught up. I've been there. I don't need to join in, but I don't need to despise them either. That small shift matters because judgment is just another competition in disguise. And let's not forget something. I hate to be the one to say this, but sometimes you're the problem. Right? I've been that guy before, the one that brought stress into a room without even realizing it. We all have. Taoist compassion extends inward too. So if you catch yourself snapping or carrying old grudges or participating in gossip or spending money you don't have, don't waste energy punishing yourself. Step back, breathe, and reset. That's distance with compassion for your own humanity. And this is small moves. I'm not talking about any grand gestures. Walking around outside for 5 minutes when the house feels too loud. You don't need to explain yourself. I just need to get some air. I'll be right back. If you feel a fight brewing, most of us can casually change the subject without anybody really realizing what we're doing. Or maybe just sit there and choose to listen instead of gearing up for a counterattack. My personal favorite is letting the silence do the work. Nothing can disarm holiday drama quite like someone being calm when everyone else is revved up. So the point isn't to withdraw from the holidays or pretend people don't get under your skin. The point is not let their chaos become your chaos. Taoism reminds us that you don't control the river, you only control how you float in it. Sometimes floating means putting your rudder down and steering away from the rapids, and sometimes it means laughing as you go over the waterfall. But it never means convincing the river to behave itself. So when you're walking into your family dinner this year, don't brace for war. Don't rehearse your comebacks. Try compassion. Try distance. Let the drama sing its bad karaoke while you just watch. You might just find that peace you keep for yourself spills over to everyone else. That is how we navigate. Taoism always comes back to practice, as we've talked about a lot, because that is, to me, there's 5 or 6 words that are always repeated in Taoist teaching. And I say the 2 most important words are notice and practice. So it's one thing to talk about compassion, but what do you do when you're standing in line at the grocery store, or when you're on an airplane and there's a crying toddler? How do you stay balanced when you're 3 hours into family dinner and you feel that patience just wearing thin? Do you start planning your Irish goodbye? I do. Here are some practices that I've laid out that I think can help you in the holiday season. So, number 1, flip the frame. Okay? Let's call it holiday or Halloween wisdom all year long. Halloween teaches us that scary can be playful. You can carry that same trick into Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. So here's some practice. When the family drama starts, just imagine it's a theater play and you're just watching. Those characters are simply characters that have been written, and you don't have to join in at all. You can just be in the audience and watch with a bit of amusement. Same with the shopping crowds. When the shopping crowds feel overwhelming, just picture it as a parade that you accidentally joined. You'll eventually exit, but while you're there, notice the colors and the motion. Reframing stress into something lighter, you take away its teeth. Just like on Halloween, when you dress up in a vampire costume at night, you take away the teeth because it was just something fun. Another practice is to pause before spending. The consumerism gets loud starting at about the middle of October. Buy this or you don't love your family enough. Pause. Before you hit purchase, before you swipe your card, take a deep breath. Leave things in your shopping cart. Close the app. Close the website. Leave your shopping cart sitting there. And then go outside or step away from the computer or put your phone down and simply ask, am I giving in to pressure? Am I buying this because of pressure, or am I buying it because of presence? Not presence as in gifts, presence as in I'm right here. That one pause can change the entire holiday for you. If that gift is honest and thoughtful, then it carries the Tao. And if it's only there to meet an expectation or to impress someone, whoa, step back. Another practice is stillness in small doses. One of the biggest lies about holiday stress is that you need a day off to reset. Taoist practice reminds us that stillness works best in small doses. 5 days of chaos and 1 day of rest doesn't really solve the problem. You need 5 minutes every day. 5 minutes outside. Step into the bathroom. Open the window and breathe. Sit in your car before walking into the house. But don't just sit there dreading what's going to happen. Take a big deep breath and let the silence land on you. Be a stillness addict. Stillness doesn't have to be dramatic. It just has to be practiced. And Taoists, we're all stillness addicts. Sometimes we have to remember, It doesn't come naturally. You have to practice. Practice number 4, listen more than you speak. This one is my favorite. Ask my wife. Because there are many times at family things or at holiday things or at work things where I really want to chime in because I think I have something important to add to the conversation. But I know if I do, I'm probably going to make somebody angry, so I step back. It's deceptively powerful. Family gatherings can turn into a competition disguised as a conversation. Who's more successful? Who has the better kids? Who made the better pie? Who knows this more than this person knows? How much do you know that I don't? Step back, choose to listen, remove yourself from that contest. Listening creates space. It also disarms conflict because it's hard to keep fighting with someone that refuses to swing back. Taoist listening isn't passive. It's active awareness. It lets others show their own patterns while you stay grounded. Practice number 5. Choose your lane. Not every holiday event, not every tradition, not every argument needs you in it. Flow where the water carries you. Step out where it doesn't. Maybe don't attend one gathering. Or maybe just attend one, but not all of them. Maybe skip that office party that stresses you out. Nobody's going to fire you over it. Maybe bow out of a large family gathering that makes you uncomfortable. Choosing your lane doesn't make you antisocial. It makes you intentional. And that's where the humor comes in. These practices aren't about becoming, a Zen monk floating above the chaos. You'll still get annoyed. You'll still roll your eyes. You'll still buy something impulsive. Taoism doesn't demand perfection. It just asks you to notice and then adjust. You're not trying to win the holidays. You're trying to live with them without being drained dry. And Taoism has tools for that I've just given you. Flip fear into fun. Pause before you spend. Carve out some small stillness. None of these are complicated. But boy, do they feel radical sometimes because the culture around us says this is the time to be loud and expensive and chaotic. And Taoism says, enough. No, thank you. The contrast is where I find my balance. So how do we shape the season? Because Taoism isn't only reactive, it's proactive. How do you want to live in this stretch of time? What choices can you make so it nourishes you instead of drains you? The first choice may sound simple. We've talked about it already. Make time to be alone. Maybe just you and your spouse, you and your significant other. Maybe just you. Maybe just you and your kids. The holidays are marketed as wall-to-wall togetherness. That's not necessarily the best thing for you. If you don't carve out some time for yourself, you're going to get swallowed up. Excusing yourself for an hour in the middle of a long family visit, that's no big deal. Don't wait until you're burned out to claim some solitude. Plan for it. Let it be part of your holiday rhythm. Know it's coming. Put limits. Tell people, I can't wait to see you guys. I can only stay for a couple of hours. Set the expectation. And when you have that time alone, increase your practice. Maybe add 10 more minutes of your exercise, your Qigong, your Tai Chi Quan in the morning. Or maybe do your meditation before you head out the door rather than when you normally do it. Maybe you just simply sit in silence and breathe. Secondly, shape your social energy. Okay? Invite yourself to ask yourself, when gatherings feel nourishing, I'm going to say yes. If they feel draining, I'm going to say no. Saying no to some things makes the yeses more meaningful, right? Spend time with people that actually fill you up, not with energy vampires. Don't spend time with people you feel obligated to impress. And then there we have the issue of gifts. Because sometimes people equate generosity with consumption. But Taoism wants to nudge you to change what giving means. Offer more differently. I'm not saying don't buy gifts. I'm just saying let someone know in advance. This year's a little bit different. I want to give in a way that feels real, not just in a way that fills a box. Sometimes that honesty can shift your family's expectations. You may be surprised how many people would welcome the change, because then it gives them permission to do it too. But they've just never had that courage to say it out loud like you're getting ready to do. The most important thing, and I've said it twice already, I'm going to say it one more time. Set expectations early and set them gently. If you want this holiday season to look different and feel different, tell people. Believe me, it's easier to have those conversations before the stress hits. Let family and friends know I'm not going to be at everything. When I am, I'm going to be fully present. But I'm changing how I'm doing things. I'm going to change how I give gifts this year because I want to focus on meaning over money. There's nothing wrong with being honest and clear about your expectations for the holiday. But just remember this. We're not trying to treat the holidays as something you have to conquer. Taoism treats them as a season of flow. No different than spring or summer. They come, they pass, and in between you get to choose how you move in them. In the summertime, if it's too hot outside and you just can't take it anymore, what do? You find a place cooler. You find some air conditioning. You find a fan. You find a way to cool down. You got to think in those terms. If you let the culture script decide for you, you're going to be exhausted and broke. But if you write your own script, if you find your break with a little solitude, practice, smaller circles, honest giving, you're going to end up lighter. So maybe this year, after listening to this, instead of bracing yourself for the oncoming holiday storm, you step aside from the parts that don't serve you. Maybe deepen your qigong, maybe meditate more often, maybe claim some solitude. Show up for fewer but richer gatherings. Redefine your generosity so it doesn't leave you stressed. And then maybe you walk into January not with resolutions, but with some energy for once and some peace in your mind. That is living holidays the Taoist way. Not perfect, not rigid, not dictated by ads or expectation, just balanced, intentional. That's another one of those big Taoist concepts. Notice, intentional, practice, and human. At the end of the day, you are not a holiday robot that has got to react and act according to its programming. You're a human being. You are allowed to choose differently. So as we close this, I want to bring it back where we started, with Halloween, my favorite holiday. Built on ghosts and darkness, monsters and vampires, blood, slashers, and flipped into laughter and joy and candy. Oh, candy. I love candy. It's the Taoist reminder for me. The thing that we can turn resistance into joy. And to me, that sets the tone for the whole holiday season. Don't get caught in the trap of what every holiday is supposed to be. Thanksgiving doesn't have to be perfect gratitude wrapped around a perfect table. Christmas doesn't have to be a shopping marathon that leaves you broken and broke. And please do not let New Year's turn into a self-punishment ritual. I beg of you not to do that to yourself. Each one of these holidays can be very joyful and very light if you let it. Family is still going to be complicated. Money is still going to be tight for some of us. Travel will still be stressful, but Taoism reminds you to have that balance because it comes from not controlling the river, but controlling how we float in it. Watch the bad karaoke without jumping onto the stage and yanking the mic away. Say no where you need to. Say yes if it truly feeds you. And let people know in advance, you know what, kids? I'm doing different things this year. Mom, Dad, I'm going to come over, but I'm probably only going to stay a couple hours. And above all, notice where the joy really is. Because you'll see it. You'll see the real joy if you're paying attention. As always, thank you so much for listening and being part of this community. And if this episode speaks to you, please share it with someone who could use a lighter holiday season. Subscribe, follow, leave a review. Stay connected with us, with everything we're building at dawananda.org. That's DAOANANDA.org. And as you head into the next couple of months, remember Halloween's lesson. The scary, the hairy, the scary, the heavy, the overwhelming, sometimes the hairy. It doesn't have to stay that way. With a little shift, everything scary can turn playful. Until next time, stay steady, stay kind, and let this holiday season unfold on your terms. And thank you so much for listening to The Modern Taoist. Bye.
Thanks for listening to The Modern Taoist with Kit Man. Visit us online at dawananda.com or find us on all the socials. Please like or subscribe on this platform, and thanks again.